So hello and welcome. So who will benefit from watching this content? Well, anyone who's got a Thai rental income or remits rental income to Thailand, and for expats wanting to understand the rules regarding midterm PND.94 tax returns. So in this 20-minute presentation, we'll go through the mid-year PND.94 tax return, who actually needs to file one and who doesn't need to worry. Then I'll go through the Thai tax filing dates for your diary, explain how and when people need to file and if they've got a requirement. Then if you're watching live, we've got a live Q&A session where you can put the questions in the Q&A box. So I'm Carl Turner. I'm the co-founder of Expat Tax Thailand. The purpose of this presentation is to provide you with the up-to-date information. Here at Expat Tax Thailand, we're here to help individuals understand their Thai tax filing obligations, understand the rules so they can make better informed decisions. We're really here to help. So Expat Tax, we're a Thai majority-owned Thai tax filing company and accountants. We've helped thousands of people in Thailand file their Thai taxes countrywide. We're proud to receive over 500 five-star reviews on Google, and we're fully registered and licensed by DBD and authorized and regulated by the Federation of Accounting Professionals. So we also produce the official Thai tax guide for expats, and that's in partnership with the Ministry of Education recognized Learning Institute for Everyone, which is a community-based Thai university. And this collaboration really helps make Thai tax rules accessible and understandable for the expat community. And you can download that on our website. If you've got any questions, feel free to book in a free consultation with one of our English-speaking consultants. We're here to explain the rules and understand your questions and help you understand if you need to file or not. So quick disclaimer before we start. The contents provided, it's for information purposes only. It shouldn't constitute professional tax or financial advice and shouldn't be acted upon in isolation. It's just to understand the rules. It's not tax or specific advice. So there've been major changes to the Thai tax rules. Most importantly was in January 2024 when the new rules came into effect. Now, there are strong rumors that these may change again and may be amended again. So we do recommend, if you're watching this video online, that you sign up for our tax alerts to be kept up to date with any future changes. And if you're already watching the webinar live or you're already on the mailing list, then you'll automatically receive these tax alerts for any break-in tax changes. So let's get on to the PND.94. So what is a PND.94 tax return? Well, it's a mid-year personal tax return. It covers the first 6 months of the year, so January to the end of June for 2025, and it needs to be filed by the end of September. Now, it's really a prepayment of tax due for certain income types. It's only certain types of income that need to be filed, not all. And you offset the income on here on the full tax return at the end of the year. So as I mentioned, not everyone needs to file. It's only if you've got certain types of non-salary or pension income, and there are minimum thresholds as well. So the thresholds to file, if you are an individual, not married, filing singly, it's 30,000 baht of income. And if you are married, filing jointly, and your spouse doesn't have an income, then it's 60,000 Thai baht. So it's only certain types of income which need to be filed for on the mid-year tax return. So what I thought we could do is just recap on what is assessable income in Thailand, and then we can narrow that down to the mid-year tax return. So a lot of information on the screen there. I'll explain it. So here are the 8 parts of Section 40 of the Revenue Code. So sections 1 to 8. So if you look through there, it includes things like what's taxable in Thailand. So salary, pension, if you've got a freelance income, contractors, anything like investment capital gains, dividends, if they're remitted into Thailand, or rental property income, these all need to be filed on a Thai tax return. Now, for the mid-year tax return, we only look at certain types of income. So these are from number 5 to 8. So that includes the most important one is rental property income. So whether that is domestic income, so you've got a rental property in Thailand, or you are remitting in foreign sourced rental income. The other ones on that list, not really so relevant for expats here. So income from liberal professions like accountants and lawyers. If you've got income from contracting where you provide materials, which is not really relevant, and then any other income. So the most important one, as I mentioned, is the rental property income, whether that's domestic, so Thai rental income, or overseas that you bring into Thailand. So what's not included on this half year return? So any pensions, if you've got an income, salary, or capital gains or dividends, they don't need to be on there. They need to be filed on the end of year tax return, which is due the end of March, start of April. So these are the important dates on the Thai tax filing calendar. So a Thai tax year, it's actually the calendar year, so 1st of January to the 31st of December. Mid-year tax returns need to be filed by 30th of September, and the end of year tax return by the 31st of March. So for this tax year, it will be filed by the 31st of March 2026 and paid by that date. So what are the implications of not filing a Thai tax return over the end of year or mid-year? Well, same as all revenue departments. Penalties if you don't file and you are caught, quite harsh. So it can be up to 200% of the tax that's owed if you're found that you've not filed. It can affect visa status, and in the extreme example, imprisonment. But the reality is, if you decide to file late voluntarily, then the penalty's quite manageable. So, for example, late filing fees, let's say you missed the end of last year filing, then the late filing fee is 2,000 baht plus 1.5% for every month that it's been owed. So if you do file for last year late filing, for example, and you need to file, get in touch. We can help with that if you didn't file, to make sure that you stay compliant. So how do we calculate this PND.94? So let's just take the example for rental properties. What we look at is whatever rental income you've received in Thailand in this first half of the year. That's what we put on the Thai tax return, regardless if you've got domestic income. So you've got a Thai rental property. It doesn't even matter if you're in Thailand or not. You still need to file PND.94 for the Thai rental income, the same as most countries in the world. We apply the income onto the tax return, then we look at your allowances, deductions, and that's how we calculate using the tax tables. So the most common allowances, let's go through these. So everyone gets a personal allowance, so that's 60,000 Thai baht. Then if you are married, so you've got a spouse and they don't have any income, you can file as a joint married couple, and you get their allowance as well, 60,000 Thai baht. And if you've got children, 30,000 baht for the first child and 60,000 after if they're born after 2018. If not, then it's 30,000 per child, and that's unlimited. If you adopted children, it's up to 5. Health insurance, if you've got a Thai health insurance, you can claim up to 25,000 Thai baht of the premium, as long as it's a Thai insurer. And if you've got local Thai life insurance, you can claim up to 100,000 Thai baht, but that must include this health insurance as well. If you are 65 or older, you get an extra 190,000 age allowance, which is on top of these allowances. So they're the most common ones. Income tax brackets. Oh, one more that we've not added. If you have rental income, then you get 30% expense allowance that we can add on for whatever income that you've got. We didn't include that on there. So once you've worked out your income, deducted off the allowances and deductions, then we look at the tax table. So the income tax table, the first 150,000 income after we've taken off the allowances and deductions is tax exempt. Next 150,000 is taxed at 5%. and is progressive all the way to over 5 million Thai baht. Then over that, it's 30% tax bracket. So it's progressive. So it doesn't mean that you're all taxed at that specific rate, which means that your tax might be less than what you thought it might be. So what's the process to file a PND.94 if you know you have to file? Well, first of all, you will need a Thai tax ID number, which we call a TIN. So you can obtain a TIN from your local revenue department office, or Expat Tax Thailand. We've got a paid service where we can obtain that on your behalf. We've helped hundreds of people obtain tax ID numbers, from their own home. They don't just need to fill out one form. Then you'd need to file a tax return, the PND.94. You can do that online with the e-filing or paper-based, or you could use a tax filing service like Expat Tax Thailand and take that pressure and stress away. So you need to file by the 30th of September this year for the first 6 months of the year. And then the tax needs to be paid, if there is any tax that's owed, by the 30th of September this year. So we've got a simple online client portal. If you would like us to take care of this, 15 minutes, we can do the full onboarding and get to the point where we can file. So what happens at the year end? So once you've filed a mid-year tax return, you will also need to file an end of year tax return called a PND 90 if you filed mid-year. So that needs to be filed by the 30th of March 2026. That's for the end of year tax return. So this is for all the other income sources. So if you've got a pension, or you've got a salary, or you've remitted in dividends as well as a rental income, that's what needs to be included at the end of year, on the end of year tax return. And what we do is we deduct any tax paid from the mid-year tax return. So any shortfall, you'd need to pay the tax, and if you've overpaid, you can claim back a refund as well. So if you file with ourselves, it includes both the mid-year and the end-of-year tax filing. So that mentioned, we've got a tax ID number service. We can help obtain that, just one form online. We have the tax filing that's available. The most suitable for people who need to file a mid-year tax return and the end-of-year tax return is our assisted tax filing. So we can file for multiple income sources and file twice in the year. So assisted tax filing is the most suitable for a lot of people. Everything's online, so it can be done, again, from your own home. If you'd like to visit the office, you can, but the reality is 95% of all clients fill out the online client portal, and we do everything remotely. So a few tips and strategy about PND.94 tax returns. So first of all, calculate the income that you have either got domestically, so from the rental income you've received in Thailand, or from the rental income that you've remitted, transferred into Thailand from overseas. That's what we would add onto the mid-year tax return. Then we need to assess your allowances and deductions, what you've got available. And that's how we calculate the tax, or at least file. And it's really important to keep a really good record of what you've remitted using bank statements, or track the transfers that you've had in Thailand. If you've got any major expenses for the rental property as well, we can add that on as an expense, as long as you have the receipts available as well. And we can always claim the 30% flat expense without showing receipts. So we'd calculate the income for the first 6 months, and that's what we'd add on to the PND.94. That would need to be paid by the end of September. So let's get on to the Q&A questions. But before we start, again, just to mention, feel free to book in for a free consultation. My colleagues Jason and John are happy to arrange a call to answer any questions that you've got regarding your taxes here in Thailand. So let's get on to the questions that have come in by email. Then I'll get on to the live questions that are on the webinar. The first question, that's a bit small. I receive rental income from 2 properties in Hua Hin, but I don't live in Thailand now. do I have to file a PND.94? So yes, so if you've got domestic Thai income from a rental property, you have to file a Thai tax return PND.94 and end of year tax return if you have domestic income. So like most tax authorities around the world, it doesn't really matter if you're living there or not. If you've got domestic income, you need to file for that. So we can help for people that are not in Thailand to file the mid-year and end of year if they're not here. Next question. I'm using Wise to send my US rental income to my Thai bank every quarter. I've sent 240,000 in April 2025, and that's all I sent. Does that mean I have to file? So good question. If this is rental income and they are going to be in Thailand 180 days or more in the calendar year, then yes, they should file that on the mid-year tax return because it's over the minimum thresholds. I only filed once last year with my rental income. Why can't I do the same again? Yeah, it's a very good question. So if you filed at the year end for rental income last year, then the revenue knows that you've got section 40 part 5 income. This means really that they're expecting a mid-year tax return this year too. So what could the implications be if you don't file the mid-year tax return? You know, you can have a late filing fee, 2,000 baht plus 1.5% for every month overdue for that tax. So I think it's important just to stay compliant. Next question. My income has been from inheritance sent across in early January and my regular pension from the US sent monthly. Is it required to file on a mid-year tax return? So no, so both of these income sources are not assessable income on the mid-year tax return. And then on the end of year tax return, it's only the pension that needs to be filed for. Inheritance is not assessable income. So let's get on to the questions that have come in live. What I'll do is I will add them onto the screen. Bear me 1 second. Let me just close this down. And then I can add them onto the screen. Paste this on so I can show on the screen. What if I decide to remit only once in a calendar year, November, a total of approximate 6 months rent at once? I assume this case, you only need to file the PND 90 at the end of the year, as there's no need to file PND 94 anymore because there's no assessable income remitted in the first half of the year. Good question. Yes. So what we're only filing for on this PND 94 is for any income that's been remitted in the first half of the year from rental income. So if you don't have a domestic Thai rental income and it's from overseas and you've not remitted it in the first half of the year, you don't need to file the half year tax return. So very good question. And yes. A question here about the expenses. So is the 30% rental deduction on top of rental expenses, e.g. property management fees? Right, so that's a good question here. So the flat rate that you can claim is 30% without showing documentation. If you have rental expenses higher than this, then you can file for more, but you need to prove with documentary evidence for everything. You need to show itemized bills with invoices and official documentation. So yes, the 30% can include this. It depends on if you've got expenses above this. Okay, good question here about remittance can be for end of year or PND. Is income remitted into a Thai relative's bank account, spouse or parent, considered part of my taxable income? So if let's assume the person is a Thai tax resident, so 180 days or more in a calendar year, anything that's remitted to Thailand, whether it's sent to spouse, parent, partner, school, car showroom, lawyer, it doesn't really matter. Anything that's remitted, and if it's your income source, it's still your income that needs to be filed on your personal income tax return. So it's remittance, it's not to your own bank accounts. It's very important to note this. Good question here. Has the revenue upped their game and put remittance amount question on the tax return? Not as our knowledge. So what we can do is for anyone who's remitting in assets into Thailand that are not assessable income, we can still file for that and actually match that up for what's been remitted. So if you bring in other income sources, we can file that on a tax return, but there's no specific box for us to note down non-taxable funds. One question here about paying a loan, repaying of a loan from a mortgage. I'm from the UK and receive rental income from a Thai account. I still have a mortgage on the property. Use the rental income to repay some of the mortgage. Would this be taxable? Because in theory, I'm repaying a loan. Don't really understand the question. So you've received rental income direct into your Thai account. As soon as it enters your account, that's income. Doesn't matter what you do with that money afterwards, whether you're paying a mortgage or not. So you're really careful what you remit in if you're paying a mortgage with other funds overseas. Yeah, here's a good question. 2025 overseas rental income over the threshold remitted first half of 2025 required. However, it's likely remittance rules will change, allowing 2025 income remitted tax-free if remitted 25-26. How will this play out? Now, there's only one article on the Bangkok Post which discussed rule changes in 2025. There's nothing officially been published. There's no information. And until there's something clear, we can only advise on the current rules. So at the moment, it's still a remittance tax basis. It might be changed for next tax year, potentially. But for this tax year, the rules are the way that they are set at the start of the year. So a remittance tax basis, if, for example, you filed on the mid-year tax return and you paid tax at the end of year, if they change the tax rules, you could file and ask for a refund of the funds. So it wouldn't be the end of the world. You could always change that if that was the case, but it's unlikely that that rule will change. But it's a very good question. Okay, good question here about double taxation agreements. What about double taxation agreements, dual taxation agreements? Most rental income from overseas is already taxed at source. Good question. So what we've got to do is look at the individual double taxation agreement and Thailand for that specific type of income. Let's assume rental income. Excuse me. One example would be Germany, where it's not taxed in Thailand due to the double taxation agreement. But let's give an example, US or UK, or the majority, Australia, for example. If you remit in rental income from there, you can use any tax paid as a tax credit. But the reality is most cases, apart from the few exemptions like Germany, you have to still file a Thai tax return, use the tax paid as a tax credit to offset the Thai tax. So good question. We have webinars on double taxation agreements, I think for 7 or 8 countries now. So if you want to watch specifically, they're on YouTube. Or feel free to get in touch. Happy to explain your situation. Question here. I was told if you don't live in Thailand, don't have a Thai address, it's very difficult to do tax registration. Is this still true? Yeah, it might be good just to get in touch to go through this. We can help obtain a tax ID if you need to file a tax return. We can meet with the revenue department. with the power of attorney and get the documentation for you if you need to file and pay tax in Thailand. So it's not straightforward, but it can be done. Good question here about the fees for an accountant to do the tax filing. Is it fully deductible? No. In the US, for example, it's tax deductible. But in Thailand, no, that's not an expense that you can use on a Thai tax return. Okay, one question about gift. So it's not really relevant for PND.94, but it's still interesting question. So is gift income from outside Thailand subject to taxation? Do I have to be filed half year or end of year? How about capital gains income? What about avoid double taxation? There's a lot of questions on there. So it depends. One, are you a Thai tax resident or not? Two, what is it that you are? What is this gift income? It's very difficult to gift foreign source income to somebody in Thailand. If you are a Thai tax resident, still your income. Depends on the source of the income. If it's rental property income, it's difficult to gift that and not file it on your personal income tax return. And if it is rental income, and that will be need to file on the half year or end of year. If it is a gift without reservation of benefit and it's not assessable income, so it's a gift of, let's say, inheritance or cash from years ago from when you were a non-tax resident, that wouldn't need to be filed on the Thai tax return, and it wouldn't need to be filed on a mid-year tax return. So it just depends on your situation. Okay, good question here. I rented my condo in Thailand from June to December 2024. Do I have to do the September declaration? Yeah, so this June to December 2024 should be filed on your 2024 tax return. So it should have been filed by April 2025 for the previous year. So if you did have rental income and you didn't file for it for last year, we can file back tax filing, and the only penalty would be, if we file e-filing at the moment, we'll still be 200 baht fine, likely, rather than 2,000 baht. And then it would be 1.5% tax every month that the tax being owed. So since April until now, there would be the tax penalty that will be added on. So we can do the back tax filing for that, but it's not for the September declaration. It's on the previous tax year, end of year tax return. One question about the rental income and the tax in the UK. How do we claim the tax credit? The same as what you would on the end of year tax return. So you need to submit with the tax paid on the end of year. Go through a few more questions. Right, one question here. If dividends or USA dividends are kept offshore and you are a Thai tax resident, would these need to be filed in Thailand as you are a Thai tax resident? Are they free of UK, US tax? Let me reread that again. If UK dividends or US dividends are kept offshore and you are a Thai tax resident, would these need to be filed in Thailand? As you're a Thai tax resident, are they free of tax in the US, UK? Okay, good question. So there's a few different variables for this specific question. If you live in Thailand 180 days or more, and you have overseas income like dividends, you are taxed if you remit these into Thailand. So they're assessable income in Thailand. You can deduct any tax that's paid in the other jurisdictions. This doesn't need to be filed on the mid-year tax return. This is the end of year tax return. Now with this question, they're saying if you don't bring it into Thailand, do you need to file? No, you don't need to file overseas dividends that are not remitted into Thailand. So it depends on your nationality as well, whether you can have these dividends paid out overseas tax-free. It depends on your tax residency and your nationality as well. So if you're American, for example, you'd need to file these on your US tax return anyway. So it depends. There's a lot of it depends on there, but feel free to book in a free consultation to discuss your own situation. All right, let me have a look at this question. Quite a few that have come in, which is good. Correct that. If a PND.94 was submitted in 2024 with no tax liability due to the low level of income, does a PND.94 need to be submitted again if the income status remains unchanged? So so this question is, if you've got a low level of income, do you need to file a PND.94? So we know the thresholds that we discussed earlier. If you're married and you file in jointly, the limit's 60,000 baht of rental income. And if you are single, it's only 30,000. So it's likely you still need to file. That doesn't mean that you've got tax to pay. Just a mid-year tax filing obligation. Can I get a Thai tax ID number before my first tax filing? I might need it to update my US W8BAN form. Yes, so you can obtain a Thai tax ID as long as you have you're in Thailand 180 days or more, and you've got a filing obligation. So yeah, you can obtain one before you need to submit the tax return, especially if you need it for other forms as well. So yeah, you can do that. Yes. One question has there been any issues from foreigners filing just on the end of year if they only meet once or twice a year? I guess it looked confusion or suspicious. Well, the rule is the rule. If you've not remitted in overseas rental income in the first half of the year, you don't need to file a Thai tax return. It's pretty obvious to show on your bank statements whether you have or you haven't. It's up to you to decide when you remit those funds into Thailand. I hope that answers the question. One question about the double taxation agreement and tax credits specifically. Might be good just to talk about this individually, about your specific case. There's a lot to go through with this, but it's easy to explain on a 10-minute conversation. Okay, next question. Sorry, my mistake. I mean, if I rented from June the 1st till December 1st of June to December 2025, do I have to do the tax declaration in the same year, 2025 September? Right. Okay. So this is the person that asked about the rental income. If you have rental income from June the 1st until December 2025, it depends how much rent you received in June. So the end of the 6 months is the 30th of June. So if you're married, you received more than 60,000 Thai baht of rental income, you should file on that in September. If you receive less, then you just need to file the end of year tax return, PND90. I hope that makes sense. Okay, any other questions? So, okay, what I'll do is I'll just share. We've got quite a lot of other webinars that are due over the next few weeks, some that might be quite useful for the people that joined the call or watching the video. So some of the ones that we've got coming up, I'll just share the screen. That might be quite useful. Okay, so we have 2 webinars coming up. We've got the Thai immigration and tax webinar, which is on a Saturday. If you can't join live, if you sign up, we can watch it afterwards. You can watch it afterwards. We'll send you the recording. This is with very senior police lieutenant colonel from the Royal Thai Police to explain how Thai immigration will police the Thai tax returns on visa renewal. So he'll explain exactly the directives that they've received. And another webinar that we've had quite a lot of interest in that might be useful to sign up for is regarding wills, inheritance, succession planning in Thailand. So we have a lot of clients that really worry about what happens if they die in Thailand, what happens to their estate with the taxation and other matters. So that's another webinar. So feel free to sign up to those on the website. If you've got any other questions regarding the mid-year tax return, feel free to get in touch. We are here to help. I do recommend a free consultation. If you'd like to click on the website, you can book in a call with John or Jason to discuss your own situation. And I hope that's been useful, and speak again soon. Bye-bye.